2022 was a messed up year. There was a lot of good things that came our way, but also a lot of horrible bad things. We've got all this wacky shit happening in the world, but that is not what this video is about. This video is supposed to be a more positive video about everything that has happened in 2022, and I'm going to share some insights into this year for me. Let's start big. Let's start with the games I have played this year, because holy damn, have I played and done a lot this year related to game stuff. I've started new games, I have ended and completed some games. You know, I've played so many games in 2022, it's absurd. Even though I was shorter on time than ever, I have played more games, it feels like, than I ever have, or sank more time into games than I ever have. So let's take a deep dive. Elden Ring. Hold on, let me try again. Elden Ring. Okay, let me try again. Elden Ring. Okay, one more time. Elden Ring. This won't cut it. Let me try it one more time. This isn't Elden Ring. Elden Ring is the game I spent the most time in this year. Don't believe me? Take a look at this. More than 250 hours I've spent in this freaking game. Elden Ring was one of those games I knew I was going to enjoy simply because I had played Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne before. After I finished both of those games, I fell in love with the way From Software tells its stories and builds up its games, its levels, and its enemy design. Difficult but fair. Where's this little guy going? Is he possessed by a ghost or some shit? I really looked up to the day Elden Ring released, and even though I went on holiday just a little after the release date of Elden Ring when I picked up the game, I knew that I would absolutely love it from start to finish. The first stream I did on this game lasted 2 hours, even though I had to get out of bed early. That is how much I love this game. I played Elden Ring so much that there are still games that I haven't played that I did plan on playing that same year. You guys all know Jedi Fallen Order, right? Well, I bought that game on discount for like 15 euros or dollars or something because I just didn't want to play the game on launch, didn't see a reason to buy it anyway, so I decided not to play it at launch. Anyway, I got the game in this same year, 2022, and guess what? That thing is still in its plastic, simply because I haven't played that game because I was so busy playing Elden Ring. This game was such a magical journey from start to finish, and I had so much fun, with or without Game Master, with or without watching my little brother play this game. It was so much fun to explore the world of Elden Ring, to explore the lands between, see everything there is to see. And I'm talking like I finished this game, but guess what? I haven't. This game is so incredibly big, there is no end. There is no stopping this game. This game is so long that even on my account or my save file of 250 plus hours, you would think that I had beaten every boss, seen every sight, and done everything I can. But in reality, I haven't even done everything yet. I am at like 75% of everything there is to do in one playthrough, and I've already started 2 alt accounts. That being said, Elden Ring was much more different from Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and even the other Souls games I would pick up and play through later. Because in those games, you tend to find only 1 or 2 items if you explore the area that can help you with the next boss. Meanwhile, Elden Ring lets you explore like 18 different areas, kill 25 different bosses, before you can return back to that boss that was cock-blocking your path towards the next story boss, and you can beat him with whatever overpowered moves you got from that area. Elden Ring is just different from the other Souls games, and if this is where the whole direction of From Software is headed, then I'm all the way for it, because this type of game is a game that I can play until I die. Except when this happens. Or shit like this. All jokes aside, this game won Game of the Year, and it shows, because this is a masterpiece. I've heard people say that this game doesn't look good. Well, I don't know where these people got that idea from, but I think we should remove their eyeballs because apparently they cannot appreciate true beauty. At the best of times, Elden Ring can be a visual spectacle. Just look at the footage playing in the video now. I've done my best to collect some of the best places and best scenery from the game. And yes, I play on a PS4, but you cannot not deny that this looks absolutely stunning, even on a console like the PlayStation 4. If I had a PC, this would look fucking gorgeous. But a lot of people just do not seem to think that Elden Ring can be as beautiful as it is. Well, I've got a whole lot of things to say, and that is just shut up. This game is absolutely stunning, and FromSoft outdid it on the visuals. Not even just the scenery, but also the way bosses and just standard enemies telegraph their attacks. Once again, they make it fair and understandable for the player. Speaking of gorgeous, we cannot deny that there's some exquisite music in this game. Have a listen, please.
Corona.
Fuck off. Fucking.
Elden Ring allows you to be cunning, to use every single thing you can think of, and in most cases it will pay off. If you poison the slugs that spew poison at you, actually, they will explode and will create a chain reaction explosion that will kill most of them in the area if they're close to one another. And this little trick, when I was fighting this Crucible Knight, luring him up the elevator will allow you to make him drop down dead. That doesn't mean that Elden Ring has everything going for it, though. This game had to copy-paste some assets just because of its immense scale, and towards the end game it will definitely start to show. I mean, there's definitely no excusing this.
What the?
This for an example. The Godskin Noble and Godskin Apostle are both dead, yet their music keeps playing and the health bar is still on the screen. It feels rather cheap and also kind of annoying that instead of fighting these two alone and depleting both their health bars individually, like with Ornstein and Smo, they just keep endlessly spawning until you've defeated so many of them that their total HP is completely gone. Rather than fighting two original enemies that complement each other's moveset and that share each one single health bar, they share a health bar that actually spawns multiple if not completely depleted near the end. Not only this, but also enemies having ginormous health bars dealing a shit ton of damage near the end game. All of this leaves a bad taste in my mouth, as if FromSoft had run out of all of their trump cards. All the negativity aside, you need to remember that I put over 200 hours in this game and that I said that I could play it until I die. That is how good of a game Elden Ring truly is. Whatever you want to do, whatever you wish to do, there's so many endless possibilities that you will not have seen it unless you played through it at least twice. If only just for the magnificent boss fights, the positive note I want to end this section on. Those are really well executed. Yeah, there might be some dirty input reading sometimes, and some bosses definitely need a nerf.
Millennia.
But bosses like Margit the Fell Omen, Mog the Lord of Blood, bosses such as Godric the Grafted, every single thing, the music, the arena, the hype, the moveset, the telegraphation, or however you say it, they nailed the hammer on its head. Or the nail on its head, whatever. It just makes me so excited to talk about that I actually forget how to speak correct English. I have never felt so much thrill and so much excitement from fighting a boss. Margit the Fell Omen was the first boss I fought on my run, and I knew that this was a battle to go down in the books. I am not done with this game. I probably never will be completely done with Elden Ring, because this game keeps me talking about it every single day. Every day I think about Elden Ring, and Elden Ring doesn't think about me, but Elden Ring does think about how to give every single player that plays it a good experience. So it is kind of thinking about me, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. In the end, this game won Game of the Year, and I highly agree with that statement, simply because this game was so incredibly fun. Although very long, it was so much fun. I do not know if FromSoft can peak this. I hope they will, and I have a very slight nudge and slight thought that they might and that they will, but I do not know. How do you top a game like this? Of course, by releasing more updates and perhaps releasing DLC, because apparently this game is still going strong. The DLC is still not underway. Apparently the Arena/Coliseum update was just a free update, not even DLC. What does this game have in store for us all? Later this year, once I finished Elden Ring, I picked up the original Dark Souls and immediately started playing Dark Souls 2 as well. I already owned both games prior to starting Elden Ring, and I didn't really touch Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 1 I touched for one stream that I did way back, but I never went to fully play through both games until this year. That's when it changed. When I first played Dark Souls 1, it just somehow didn't click for me. I thought the game looked really ugly, and that there wasn't much to do, that the game was kind of bland, something I already had experienced in Dark Souls 3. It felt kind of empty. I had beaten Taurus Demon and I had beaten Stray Demon, but that was kind of it. The next boss on the list would be the Bell Gargoyles, but I couldn't even make my way there because I kept dying and dying. But then something inside me just decided to go back to the original Dark Souls after completing Elden Ring. I was determined to change up my strategy, and even though I failed a lot in the beginning, I thought, why not give it another try and take a look at what other people do and what the meta kind of is, to make it myself a little bit easier to play through this game and to see what all the hype was about. It was then that I realized that shields can come in really handy to block incoming attacks and kind of cheese and walk around enemies. Hell, you can cheese Black Knights with a good shield. After this, I started applying shields more and more to my normal combat instead of my combat that was always go and dodge everything you can possibly dodge because, well, I like my glass cannon builds. It was then that Dark Souls turned out to be a much easier game than I initially remembered or expected. The area where you have to make it underneath the red dragon on the bridge is a major example of a big choke point I had. I couldn't make it past the thing. Nor the little passage underneath the bridge, but once I started using shields, it was kind of a piece of cake. And then when my frustration with the game kind of ended, I could finally appreciate Dark Souls for what it is. And yes, I do not want to say that it's a masterpiece, because a lot of people have said that before. It definitely has its shortcomings, but it's still a very lovable game. It's a game that you can sink a lot of hours into and enjoy playing. Hell, my little brother played through this and finished it before I could because he just has more time on his hands. Funny stuff like this happens when we're both on the couch and I'm co-commentating. I'm trying! But this is how I learned to appreciate the original Dark Souls. The interconnectivity of it all, your Firelink Shrine hub world being connected to almost every single area, so no need for warping between places and levels until the late game. The fact that you can just do so much and you have so much freedom in the beginning of the game. You can literally almost go anywhere you want. There's just so much you can already do. You can get your hands on so many things already. It's insane. The game just... I do not know how to describe it. It's a feeling you have to experience for yourself, because the journey, the world you go through, it's magical. And then you enter the battle with Ornstein and Smo, and you really realize that you have come this far. You're fighting a boss that is considered one of the best and one of the hardest in the series, and then you beat him. That's how it goes. It's a journey unlike other games give you, and although you can partially re-experience or experience that in Elden Ring, the original Dark Souls just limits you so much that you have to use your brain a lot more and you have to be creative, but most importantly, you have to keep trying, which is also a big theme in the game's story. And that is what made me appreciate the original Dark Souls just so freaking much. It's absolutely amazing. People say that this might be the best Souls game, and although I can see why, I do not know for sure. I mean, every single Souls game is good in its own right, but I can definitely see where it's coming from, and I'm long not done with this game, especially since I haven't completed my first playthrough. But that aside, I will keep playing this game for much longer as well.
What the actual fuck is going on with my leg? What the fuck is happening? What?
The fuck? Did he just zoom? broken ass game.
The fuck? What's going on? Invisible mosquitoes? This fucking game.
Oh damn. I've been busted. Well, Mr. Snake, on guard, huh? Why won't you attack? Are you afraid of me? Move back, then. Hey, yeah, get hit by the... Why did you not get hit by the... He just got burned. Dark Souls 2. And, when I say Dark Souls 2, you might expect me to say some negative things. And I have a lot of negative things to say, because this game can be extremely frustrating at times. It can also be really funny, but when stuff like this happens, yeah, what a thrill. Alright, so where does this lead? Your chest. Better check if it's a mimic or not. Here we go. And it's a mimic. Alright. Oh, what the fuck? Not this time. It will be different this time. If I just stand behind the mimic, he cannot grab me. Here we go. Got my soul back. On guard, you stupid mimic. Let's teach you a... What the... You gotta be. Frustrating hitboxes, enemy ganks that immediately attack you when you're near the bonfire, stuff like enemies still being able to hit you even though you already got hurt, there's no invincibility frames it seems, shit like agility. Those kind of things, they kind of shit on the game completely. They make it way harder than it should and needs to be, combined with some of the most awful boss runbacks in Souls history, and you've gotten yourself a game that a lot of people will get frustrated by and will even never pick up or cover completely because they hear so much negative things about it. And yet, I kept playing. I do not know why, but I keep playing this game. Even though I get frustrated, do not know where to go. Enemies keep ganking me. I get hit continuously. I do not know where to stock on extra life gems and whatnot, but I still keep going with this game. Because this game, and it's kind of weird, it has that Fire Emblem Echo / Gaiden charm to me, which might sound a little weird if you've never played both those games or either one of them. But the weird thing about Dark Souls 2 is that it just feels like the original Dark Souls, but different enough. It has these little tweaks and mechanics and things that make it feel completely different from the original Dark Souls, and that gives its unique little charm. It makes this game more special, and it also kind of makes this game a little more fun. I do not know how to explain, but even though there's so much frustrating stuff going on, you are allowed to power creep in this game. It's absurd. Sometimes you can literally just kill bosses in a couple of hits because you can really destroy enemies in this game. This game can be so much fun if you know what to do and if you figured everything out. But that progress you make on figuring the game out and getting to know its mechanics, that part of the game is the most frustrating. Once you know the positions of enemies, once you learn how bosses operate, this game can become extremely fun. But then if you do not know this, you might get invaded by Forlorn and he will kick your ass, and yeah, stuff like that can really frustrate the shit out of you. I myself couldn't make it further at times, and I had to discuss with a good friend of mine what my next course of action would be, because there were just so many things to do, and the game was rather vague about where you needed to go. Dark Souls 2 is a game that when you go into it blind is extremely tricky to get the hang of, but once you do, you will realize that underneath the rough dirt there is actually a diamond. And that is what made this game so fun for me. Like with the original Dark Souls, I am not long done with playing this game. I will keep playing this and finish my playthrough, and then I'll see what I'll do next. I'm looking forward to the Frigid Outskirts, the worst DLC out there. But that all aside, I do really like this game at the end of it all, even though it frustrates me to no end sometimes. Stupid ass spiders. 2022 was also the year I started getting more into anime. At the end of 2021, I started watching Attack on Titan, and of course, my friend Game Master, who watched it as well, had to recommend me a game going by the name of Attack on Titan 2. This game is a lot of fun to play, although be it a little bit stale and boring at some times. The gameplay of this game is simple but very fun, and the stuff you're able to do when you're not in battle is also really fun, like getting to know the characters just a little bit more, getting to know the main cast of Attack on Titan a little bit more. The only thing I kinda have a gripe with is that some of this game feels a little bit too simple and a little bit too much stretched out. This game was also developed by Koei Tecmo, which also developed Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I can see some really big inspiration on how they designed stuff outside of the main battles. In Three Houses, it is not uncommon to speak a lot to students at the monastery and to do various tasks that kinda quickly become chores in the game if you're not going on story missions or other battles. Attack on Titan 2 has this issue as well, where sometimes it's just not fun to go around and speak to characters when you just want to go into the next mission. The gameplay itself is also not that deep and not that interesting, although there are numbers where you can deepen yourself in and that you can actually pay more attention to make your character even more broken. The things that you can do in this game when it comes to sheer gameplay is just kind of eh. There's not a lot to do, but what you can do is actually very fun. It makes this game one of those games that you can mindlessly grind away without keeping your eye on the clock, and that you can just play whilst listening to a podcast or doing something else completely. It's just a fun game that you can just, well, do other things simultaneously, because it's also kind of brain dead gaming at that point. There's not much you need to do. It's very easy even. Heck, even a 3-year-old child can play this and still get some decent results, because sometimes you just have seas of times before you can do the next objective. And that is kind of funny as well, because your character's so stupidly broken that some of those little objectives and missions could be very quickly completed. The game has to actively hold you back, because otherwise you will shred it to bits. What I find even more funny is that your character, the main character, and everything that happens basically makes the entire plot of the anime irrelevant, as well as the plot of the manga. Because if the Survey Corp or the human faction between the walls actually had such a powerful soldier at their hands, nothing that happened in the story would ever have been a problem. Yet the story does make the Titans seem like an unstoppable force most of the time. Yet you, in this game, shred through them with ease. This is just a really fun game that I played this year, and I will keep on playing because I haven't completed it. What the? You doing okay? I think I should be asking you that. What the hell are you doing? And now for Demon Slayer. Oh, I've watched this entire anime. I binged it in the summer vacation simply because this anime got me hooked from the minute it started. It was almost impossible for me not to watch the next episode once I finished one of them. And then Game Master bought the game you're seeing footage of now, Demon Slayer The Hinokami Chronicles. When he invited me over to take a look at this game, I just couldn't believe my eyes. The way the animation of the characters in-game and also in the cutscenes were intertwined was absolutely eye-baffling, if that even is a term or a word. This game is pure eye candy because animations in-game and in cutscenes flow together seamlessly. It's absolutely insane. I very much love Demon Slayer simply because it was a beautiful anime, the story is very interesting, and overall the soundtrack, the visuals, just everything combined makes for an amazing experience. And this game is no different. It is so interesting to see the many things you can actually do with this game. Whenever I went over to Game Master's house to play this game, we would every single session we played against each other discover new things you can do, new tricks. We would discover that you can parry in the game, that you can rush towards enemies if you press the circle button. It was really fun to figure out all of those little things that you didn't know could be done before. The most fun you can have with this game is when you chain a 32-hit combo. Or if you're on the receiving end, yeah, good luck mate. And although this is PvP and story mode is slightly different, they do both have some things that I really like about them. Story mode, for an example, has some really interesting designs when it comes to boss attacks. Some bosses are NPCs that you're never able to control in-game. Yeah, you can play as some of the demons in PvP mode, but some of the attacks they use in PvE are actually unable to be replicated by the player if they play as said demon in PvP. The fights between PvP and PvE, or fighting against bosses in story mode, are just different from one another, and both of them require a unique skill set. One that you will master over the course of the game by playing enough battles. That being said, the story mode of course isn't really that interesting because this is a fighting game at its core, and that means that the story gets second treatment. One thing I dislike about the bosses in this game is that they do not allow you to pick your windows carefully. It's either beat the boss up until he's dead, or the boss will jump out of the screen, come back in this state where you cannot hurt him and you have to survive for a couple of seconds before you can punch his head in again. When I think good boss design, I think about bosses that allow you to pick your own windows to attack and getting punished by those bosses if you pick the wrong windows by taking damage. A good example of this is when you start beating up a boss so bad that they decide to jump out of the screen and now it's their turn to attack without getting a counter in. This is a thing that I seriously get bothered by. Either allow me to attack and make some punishments for if I choose the wrong windows, or just implement some other feature that doesn't make the boss an immortal being that will attack for like half a minute and then will stop and you can just beat him up once again. Because when this happens, the boss will spam attack after attack, and you will have to wait for his super state to be over before you can go back to punching a hole in his chest again. In the end, it just feels like the boss has become a giant punching bag and you have to wait in between beating sessions, and that is something that kind of breaks the flow of combat, at least in my opinion. My complaints about story mode aside, the battle mechanics in this game are simply amazing. I love the fighting mechanics in this game. They seem so simple at the surface, but in reality, they can be extremely in-depth as well. This game has the voice actors of the anime, the soundtrack of the anime, it has everything I love about the anime, even the beautiful animation. It's all there, and that makes it one of the better games out there, and a game that I'm going to sink a lot more time in. Now to go over some honorable mentions this year. This year I also picked up The Last of Us 2, and I know that this game is controversial, but I wanted to play it from the day I saw it on stream. Problem is that due to Elden Ring and a lot of other games just being more prevalent this year, I never had the chance to sit down with The Last of Us 2 and play it for a longer session than 30 minutes. The Last of Us 2 is a game that can suck you in and just let you waste countless of hours in just one sitting session. But I never really experienced this, as I just didn't care enough to sit back for a longer period of time. I just wanted to finish Elden Ring or continue with Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 2. Hopefully this year will be different and I will actually finish this game. I also completed my first randomizer run of A Link to the Past and Super Metroid. Basically there's a ROM hack out there that combines both games together and randomizes the items from both games. So you have to hop in between games to get access to the different items of each game, which is really fun. It turns both games that I've played a lot into a big puzzle, and you will have to look for a single item sometimes in a particular spot that you might have forgotten to get access to a new area or to continue playing. I absolutely adore the way this game plays, and I really want to do one of these runs again because it's just so much fun. Although it does take a lot of time, and I do not want to go back to Turtle Rock, please. Finally, one game that I did not mention much because, well, I didn't do much about it, that is actually kind of a lie, that is Fire Emblem: The Prophecy of Flames. At FE3 I showed a new trailer about 2 chapters being finished. Chapter 4 and 5 are now officially able to be played, they are officially out. I have had a lot of fun with this game, making it and playing it and play testing it, hearing about feedback and stuff and whatnot. I really enjoyed making Fire Emblem: The Prophecy of Flames in 2022, even though it kind of got a backseat because I was doing a lot of other things. Every single minute I spent on this ROM hack was a minute well spent in my eyes. I hope I'll finish the next patch soon and that I can get loads of feedback from people. The trailer at FE3 was very well received. I just can't wait to continue with this game, honestly. And that actually kind of sums up the entire game section. Huh, that was interesting. So there's 2 topics remaining I kind of want to talk about. First, let's take a look at something I really developed this year. Let's take a look at some of my art, shall we? I started back in 2020, and this year I made a lot more art than I ever have in any of my years. Because I've been only doing this for 2 years, that's kind of logical. I mean, kind of fair argument. But this year I've been doing more about it than I ever have. I've bought books to study everything. I do not know how to explain it all. It has just been such a wonderful journey, and I have made some beautiful art pieces, some of which will now be appearing at screen. I have no words for how happy I am that I came this far. Look at the difference between this 2 years ago and take a look at what I've done this year. Take a look at what I've done now. You probably have seen a thing. I hope me, the editor, editing me from the future, remembered that I should post a picture about my art 2 years ago and the same piece 2 years later. It's just, I just really cannot explain how happy I am that I came this far, and I'm still impressed by what I have done in terms of art. And I hope that the next year will also give us a lot of cool art to take a look at, because I just hope to improve my art more and more as the years go by, and eventually my dream is to release a manga. I've been working on a story. I just can't wait. I'm just really excited and happy about the art this year, and I hope to look forward to another year of beautiful art. So, that was me talking a lot. I will talk just a little bit more because I just wanted to go over some channel stats. The year ends with me, or at least the time of recording, at 383 subs, which may not seem like a lot, but you have to remember that last year we ended on like, what was it, 140 something? Last year I gained 98 subscribers, and this year I gained 239. 383 minus 239, well, we were around, let's say, 142 subs. Is that out of the back of my head? Is that how many we had? Anyway, that's a huge jump in numbers, which is actually kind of insane. I also calculated that this is a 165% increase when it comes to subscribers, which is an insane amount of growth. When it comes to watch time, I gained 2,800 hours of watch time this year. According to the statistics, that is 223% more than last year. And that is insane to me. 2,800 hours. That is stupid. It just baffles me that it's slightly more than 100 days. Slightly more than 100 days. Slightly more. People have watched in total around a third of a year, somewhat. They have watched my content, which is absolutely ridiculous. I do not know how this has been generated. And when I look at the big number where it's mostly about when it comes to YouTube next to subscribers, when I take a look at views, almost 40k, 30.9 or 39.4k. That is almost 40,000 views. That means that around 40,000 clicks on my videos. That is a crazy number. That would mean that if there were 40,000 people that each and every single one individually watched my videos, I could fill an entire city with those people. And of course there are some duplicate people there, but it's still rather insane. 39,000 people. A 252% increase. This is just downright insane, and I do not know what to say about this. I am just completely blown away by all of these numbers, and I cannot say anything but thank you. Thank you everyone for sticking with me on this journey. If you're watching this, then you probably have contributed to this number somehow. At least by just watching this video, you shot the view count up. If you subbed, you would shoot the sub count up. It's incredible, and I do not know what to say. You may hear some bangs, you may have heard them throughout the video. People are already, you know, they're lighting up fireworks and whatnot. That's the bangs you may have heard in this video, because the year's almost over. This was an insane year. I have no more words for everything that has happened. I have no words to say. I do not know what to say. I only know that I have to say that I'm really, really thankful that everyone stuck with me for this journey, because it's insane. And if I can still give some thanks, if we're turning this into some kind of Oscar speech, I want to give a big thank you for Game Master, for sticking with me and doing some streams and doing content together. It was a wonderful time streaming with you, especially Elden Ring, to see you die so much because you have a big elbozo skill issue. That was just a joke, of course. I want to thank all those family members of mine, all my friends, for just sticking around with the journey with me. I want to thank some people that have helped me on my artist kind of journey, helped me with my improve my drawings and stuff. You know, I've had some wonderful people help me with that. Those people know who they are. I'm talking also about your friend Eckhart. Sent them my biggest thanks for just giving me tips to improve my art. And yeah, speaking of Eckhart, big thanks to you for sticking around, for being such a big voice in some issues and concerns I've had this year, and for always being such a wonderful person to have around, to get so much funny compliments from in the Path of Radiance Let's Play. Also a game I played but I didn't mention. Ooh, bad XP. I know, it's funny. But yeah, thanks to you as well, and thanks to Sleeper for just helping make the Discord look a lot nicer, for making it a lot more user-friendly. Thanks for that. Why do you give me a pop-up windows, please? I've been doing other stuff. Can you just ignore it? Oh god, it's a mess. And yeah, thanks to everyone from the Discord as well. Every single one in the Discord, every member, pat yourselves in the back, because you also helped with all of this. I am out of words, I'm out of thanks. There's only one thing that I can really say at the end of this video, and that is my usual. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to smash the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video, be sure to sub if you really wanted to see more content like this. And I hope to see you guys all in the future, in a future video. Have a wonderful 2023, and yeah, I will see you guys all next time. Goodbye.